Good morning. Being 9 a.m., I'll call to order the McHenry County Board Committee of the Whole meeting of January 11th, 2024. And Mr. Kaminsky will lead us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Tiana, could you call the roll, please?
Pamela Altoff. Present. Carolyn Campbell. Here. Joseph Gottemaler. Terry Greeno. Eric Hendricks. Carl Kaminsky.
President and counted for.
James Kearns. Here. Matthew Kunkel. Here. Teresa Meshes. Here. Lizette Ness. John Reinert. Here. Brian Sager. Here. Michael Shorten. Here. Michael Scala. Present. Larry Smith. Here. Gloria Van Hoff. Here. Tracy Von Bergen. Here. Kelly Wegener. Here. Chairman Bueller.
Here.
I think Ms. Ness is online.
Ms. Ness is online. I'll entertain a motion to allow Ms. Ness to attend remotely. Mr. Scala makes the motion. Ms. Meshes seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Welcome, Ms. Ness. On to my comments. Good morning and thank you all for being here. I'll start out this morning by thanking the McHenry County Division of Transportation and their municipal counterparts for keeping our roads clear of snow after Tuesday's storm. And I'd also like to update you and the public about the arrival of asylum seekers that McHenry County and the other collar counties are now seeing. As you know, these individuals are being bused here from states that have been facing a steady stream of asylum seekers. McHenry County government gets no advance warning of when or where these buses arrive. Whenever we get a report that a busload of asylum seekers has been dropped off, our emergency management agency works to give the affected municipality whatever assistance they need to make sure that they're taken care of and out of the cold and transported to Chicago, which is the resources to handle this. Neither McHenry County government nor any of our municipal governments even have a fraction of the resources that would be required. Our emergency management agency has been and continues to be in regular contact with the state and our municipalities on this matter. Our position has always been to facilitate the safe and efficient completion of these asylum seekers' journey to Chicago and the state and federal resources that take care of them. In addition, next Tuesday at the United Center in Chicago, the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus will be convening a meeting of local government leaders to discuss Chicago's new arrivals operation. The City of Chicago will present on the current situation, including an overview of city and Cook County operations, guidance on bus ordinances, and identify regional coordination and advocacy opportunities. County Coordinator Shaylin Daigle and multiple municipal representatives from McHenry County will be in attendance. Last month, the County Board approved placing of a referendum on the March 19th ballot that will ask voters if they want to replace the property tax levy that funds the McHenry County Mental Health Board with a 0.25% sales tax. County administration has put up a frequently asked questions page on the county website to educate the public about the referendum and what it would do. You can find it on the county website at mchenrycountyil.gov by clicking on the rotating banner on the top of the main page. With the new year comes the start of the Illinois General Assembly's spring legislative session, and like past years, we've been working closely with our state lawmakers to advance McHenry County's priorities to improve services and reduce costs to our taxpayers. The adoption of our 2024 legislative program is on next Tuesday's agenda, and I'd like to thank County Administration and our Law and Government Committee for their hard work in making it happen. On a related note, the McHenry County Council of Governments will be holding its annual legislative dinner on Wednesday, January 24th in Crystal Lake, at which they'll be adopting their legislative agenda for 2024. Also, County Administration staff, along with Law and Government Chairwoman Pam Altoff and myself, will be attending the National Association of Counties Annual Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. from February 11th through February 13th. In addition to attending the conference, we'll be meeting with the members of the McHenry County's federal legislative delegation in their D.C. offices. Algonquin Village President Debbie Sosine will be joining us as well to represent the McHenry County Council of Governments. On Friday, January 26th, County Coordinator Shaylin Daigle will be hosting a meeting with the McHenry County Municipal Planning Departments and the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. CMAP is partnering with McHenry County municipalities to launch a pilot database to better track residential development on a more timely basis, which in turn should yield better population estimates. McHenry County is seeing a lot of new residential development, so this will be good for us and our long-term planning. And finally, it will be our pleasure next Tuesday evening to host the Cary Grove High School Trojans football team, which will be attending to accept a proclamation congratulating them for once again winning the Class 6A IHSA state championship. And that concludes my remarks. This brings us to reports. Actually, we're going to members' comments next. So does any members have any comments today? Ms. Van Hoff.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. As you know, Monday, January 15th is Martin Luther King holiday. So I have written a proclamation that we will have before the board next Tuesday. So since that is a day after Martin Luther King holiday, I would like to ask the permission of the chair to read that proclamation now.
Please do.
Okay, thank you. Whereas on November 2nd, 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed Martin Luther King Jr. Day into law, designating the third Monday in January as federal holiday to commemorate the civil rights leader, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and whereas the MLK holiday bill went into effect on January 1st, 1986, and has been recognized in all 50 states since the year 2000, giving Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. the distinction of being the only American other than a U.S. president to have a holiday named after him. And whereas Dr. King left a lasting legacy as a nonviolent leader, changing our nation's perspective of civil rights, labor, and the value that every person can bring into our nation when provided opportunity. And whereas Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to championing the rights of Black Americans, always reminding those who thirst for freedom that in the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the McHenry County Board, do hereby acknowledge and proclaim to all residents of McHenry County that January 15th, 2024 is duly recognized as the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of observance, and all citizens are encouraged to work toward promoting equality and justice for all Americans. And be it further proclaimed that the county clerk is hereby authorized to distribute a certified copy of the proclamation to the county administrator, the county board chairman, and the director of human resources. Dated at Woodstock, Illinois, this, what is today, the 11th?
Yes.
Day of January AD 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kaminsky?
Just a couple quick shout outs. One to the transportation. For completing a little task that's little, that no one would think that is important, but it's a little detail that they stuck with. It took over a year to do, but it really added, it was a fence and a rail around the roundabout in Johnsburg. And just that little detail enhances the area. The new owner of the building that's in back of it is, nice and happy about it, as well as the village president. It may have taken a while, but they stuck with it and got it completed. And also to our sheriff's department, if you look at their report this month, through their efforts and all the things that they do, you're seeing the results by their numbers going down as traffic accidents, fatalities, and other things that they do and institute. So hats off to the sheriff's department and transportation. Thank you.
Ms. Wagner?
Thank you. So mine is actually kind of going off. Thank you. First of all, thanks again to Transportation, and I hope everybody stays safe in the next few days. It sounds like we're having yet another snowmageddon, or the first one. The last one didn't turn out like we thought it would. But I do want to thank, I said this in law and government meeting, thank EMA for coordinating to help all those migrants, like the chairman said, who are arriving. They're coordinating with the municipalities, and they're doing a yeoman's job of planning and getting the migrants to Chicago where they need to be processed. And no matter where your politics are on this issue, we have to remember that the people that are being dropped off are families and children. So I also want to say thank you to the organizations out there and the individuals who are providing warm clothing and shoes. And just for everybody's information, if you have coats, shoes, warm clothing, Illinois Migrant Council and Warp Corps are taking donations. I also would like to congratulate Gloria and the Juneteenth Committee for hosting an MLK presentation last night. They showed a movie which was really educational and moving. I didn't know a lot of those details about Martin Luther King's life. And going forward, if everybody should have received an email from somebody in Faithbridge about a Martin Luther King breakfast that's happening on Monday, please consider attending. If you haven't gone to one of these yet, and I think we're on 12 years, 14, okay. It would be really a moving and inspirational experience if you attended. The speaker is Terrell Carter, and he has spoken before. And you just come away from that day inspired to do better.
Thank you. Seeing no further member comments, we'll move on to public comment. First up will be Lindsay Keisman.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Keisman, and I am the treasurer for the McHenry County Mental Health Board. Last year, there was a lot of discussion about our budget request and a desire to understand more about our programs, funding, and what programs have needs. I want to invite you to this month's Finance Committee, which will occur at 5 p.m. right before our regular 6 p.m. board meeting on January 23rd. Last cycle, we had over $3 million in requested funding. The year before that, it was $2.5 million. As a board, it is our job to determine where the funds go, which programs that we might have to cut, or which programs might go underfunded. We do not expect to say yes to everything, but the demand is there, the community is knocking on our door, and we know there is more demand than ever before. The community did a good job of speaking at our board and at many of the board meetings and committee meetings here. I know that many of you heard stories, and many of you stated that those stories were both inspirational, but also only part of the equation. I agree. So I urge you to come and hear more about the way we evaluate funding requests, what we could do if we had more funding available, and the process that we do as a board and as a finance committee to make these tough decisions. We will begin a process, which we will not likely conclude in that meeting, of discussing what we would have funded had the funds been available. This is a good exercise for us in preparation for the possible increase that we will receive if the sales tax passes. It will also be a good exercise for us to demonstrate the continued need in numbers. If the sales tax does not pass, we will begin discussing what kind of budget requests we might need to make this year. Thank you so much for your time.
Dr. Michael Reen.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Michael Ring in the McHenry County Corner. Just wanted to introduce you to Scooby. Scooby came to us. He was kind of lost. He was found behind the motor pool one day when it was snowing and stuff. And we brought him in because he didn't have tags on him. So we called the health department, and we found out you know, who the owners were. They're really close by and stuff like that. But he hung out with us all day and stuff, and it was really good for the office. What it ended up happening is I made him an honorary deputy for the office and stuff. I know. And we bring them around to other parts of the county departments and stuff, and people love them and things of that nature outside of getting into garbage once in a while. But outside of that, I just want to introduce to everybody to him, and he's actually been a kind of a joy to us as far as coming, and everybody loves having him. He's usually pretty mild-mannered, but today he's pretty rambunctious. So, but other than that, that's pretty much all I got. Thanks.
I was going to ask who let the dogs out, but now we
Yeah.
know.
Right?
Okay, next up, reports and presentations. Deputy County Administrator Scott Hartman and Alicia Schuler, Communications and Project Manager, will give us an update on the strategic plan.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for this opportunity. We did not realize we were following a puppy dog, so we got to step up our game. Scott Hartman, Deputy County Administrator.
I'm Alicia Schuler, Communications and Project Manager.
All right, and we'd love to give you an update on your strategic plan. As an organization, McHenry County has long held that strategic planning is essential to good, responsible governance and regularly engage in strategic planning exercises to establish goals for county government, the organization, and your services. Adopted in 2021 and amended in 2023, your strategic plan outlines the county board's key goals and priorities to guide public policy, resource allocation, and operational decisions through 2025 and beyond.
Now, today you're going to see us cover many of the goals that you've set and many of the objectives and many of the accomplishments we have done over the time. And again, we've had many, many accomplishments, and I encourage you all to please check out the strategic plan report card. There's 22 pages of information. It's online on our website. And today, though, we recognize you have an important agenda to get to for Tuesday night, so we're going to hit the highlights. So if we leave out any of your favorite initiatives, I apologize. But again, you can find them online. It's been a busy year. I've gotten a few gray hairs, Scott's gotten more, and a lot has been accomplished. So without further ado, let's talk about the strategic plan.
So your strategic plan is organized into 6 key strategic areas: leadership and governance, organizational advancement, environmental sustainability, economic and workforce development, health and social services, and quality infrastructure. So leading off with leadership and governance, Alicia, why don't you tell us what we've done?
Well, that's been a lot. So leadership and governance. So I'm going to move ahead here. Goal 1. How are we going to thoughtfully and impactfully allocate the COVID-19 response dollars through the ARPA funding? So what are the big things that we have done over the past year? Well, we allocated $1.9 million to help build 70 senior affordable housing units in the city of Woodstock. We've allocated $1.3 million to the Options and Advocacy organization for a neurodiversity and mental health clinic. That's up and running, by the way, and doing well. We've also, and when I say we, I mean the county board, has allocated $1 million to help eliminate the Longmeadow Bridge toll, which will save regular motorists almost $300 a year.
So looking on the horizon, now that much of the COVID dollars have been allocated, the next step is to diligently monitor those programs and those allocations to ensure they're spent or on track to be spent by December 2026. If they're not, then the county board will need to review those allocations and figure out a way then to spend those so we do not lose that funding opportunity.
Our next goal, Goal 2, develop and implement a reporting mechanism for all county-appointed boards to report activities and initiatives to the county board to promote accountability, enhance information sharing, and improve overall coordination and communication. Well, just the other day at Long Government, we had a very informative report about the decennial Local Efficiency Act that our appointed boards are required to present by state law. Now, again, this is a new requirement, and the committee has taken the leadership and initiative to make sure that our appointed boards understand the requirements under this act and to make it easier for them to comply. We have also, on this page, made sure that there are different examples of the reports that have already been filed to make it easier on our local partners.
Thank you, Alicia. Looking forward, we as a county board want to reach out to the appointed bodies and ask them how they would like to report to their liaison committees. This is something that really doesn't happen regularly for most of your appointed bodies, but there is a desire to hear what they're doing, what the initiatives are before them, what problems or challenges they're facing, so you can be engaged. So we want to further develop that reporting mechanism, whether it's an in-person report or something in writing, but just so you as a county board understand what they're doing and what they're facing. In addition, we want to work with our state's attorney's office to develop a training for our appointed bodies, just so that they know how to run an efficient meeting and are certainly mindful of some of the compliance requirements, such as Open Meetings Act and FOIA and other things that we face those public bodies. So we're looking forward to that.
Skipping ahead to Goal 5 in Leadership and Governance. This is a big year for enhancing regional collaboration. This year, the Sheriff's Office officially opened the McHenry County Regional Training Center with its partners. And as you can see, Mayor Kalnick did receive his $1 bill. So if he says otherwise, it's right there in that picture. And again, this is an opportunity for our law enforcement to receive training within the county, within their schedule, so that they are able to best perform their duties every day. This has also been a year for inmate housing agreements between the Lake County Sheriff's Office and the McHenry County Sheriff's Office, and if the board approves it on Tuesday night, King County and McHenry County in regards to the housing of inmates. So another important example of government collaboration and regional coordination. Also, our county coordinator kicked off the municipal partnering initiatives and conducted a very successful expo this year, connecting various local governments across the region and various counties as well, to talk about different opportunities for partnering and how they implement cost-sharing initiatives.
So wow, I think it's very clear that the spirit of collaboration and partnership is permeated through the county and our municipal partners. There's so many great things that we do now that in just 5 or 10 years ago, we wouldn't have thought about doing. But that has propelled not only the county as an organization and its ability to do what we do, but also helped our municipal partners do what they do for their residents better. So we're really pleased with all those efforts. On the horizons, continuing that good work, whether through the county board support and directly through our county coordinator, Shaylin Diego, just making sure that we keep those lines of communications going, making sure we come up with those ideas, making sure we thoughtfully ask, what can we do, how do we do it, and how can we do it together? And then with that, we're going to uncover even more opportunities.
Could I add to that the Midwest Regional Trail with Kenosha County in Wisconsin and Thielen Materials?
Yes, you could. We'll talk about that later.
And it's coming, I promise.
All right.
All right. Next goal. So, strengthening representation and influence in Springfield to help mitigate unfunded state mandates. This year has been a big year for the Law and Government Committee. The Law and Government Committee has been working tirelessly to work with our both state legislators and this year our federal delegation to DC. So again, it's been a big year for sharing initiatives. Just at the last Law and Government Committee, our representatives Joe Sosnowski, Stephen Reich, Tom Weber, Suzanne Ness, and Martin McLaughlin all appeared before the committee to talk about their initiatives going forward in this year, and the committee also shared their ideas to include in the legislative program, which, by the way, is before you for Tuesday night. If it makes your approval, that'll be something we can share even further with our federal delegation and our state delegation. But again, a lot has happened. In October, our senators, Senator DeWitt and Senator Wilcox, also came to discuss their legislative priorities with the Law and Government Committee, and Chair Pam Altoff was also appointed to be the leader of the Illinois State Association of Counties Wind and Solar Facility Task Force going forward. Law and Government will also be looking to see our delegation going forward in February, so much going on, much more to keep an eye on. And we look forward to expanding this program and McHenry County's influence with the state.
And this is an ongoing effort, just like our coordination with our municipal partners, our ensuring that we are before our legislators in Springfield and Washington is absolutely important, and that they are aware of the issues facing the county. In fact, in February, I think as Alicia mentioned, our chair of our Law, Government, Liquor Commission, our county board chairman, and representatives from the COG will be going to Washington to further press the county's interests there to our federal legislators. And at the staff level, great relationships have been developed with the county staff and the legislative staff, and just keeping up those relations, keeping up that line of communication so their staffers know what we're thinking, what we're doing, what we need, and similarly we can understand what they need from us.
And I'd also like to add that this December, Congressperson Schakowsky and Congressman Schneider actually came to the McHenry County Regional Training Center to learn more about how that training center works and the opportunities for the police social work program to reside there and better serve our residents. So again, more to come, keeping an eye on that, and we look forward to additional accomplishments in the near future. All right, so goal 7. Work to encourage diversity and welcomeness within the county. So this has been a big year for Goal 7. As you can see members Kaminsky and members Ness reading the proclamation for Operation Greenlight. But again, it's not just Operation Greenlight that we've issued proclamations for. The county board has issued proclamations recognizing National Black History Month, Women's History Month, National Juneteenth Day, LGBTQ+ Pride Day, and other proclamations to honor our young people as, and recognize their contributions to society.
One thing to note too is the county board did pass a resolution to provide additional compensation for bilingual skills in the Department of Health to allow them to better serve their constituents. And it's important to note because we need to make sure we are delivering the services and meeting those needs of course, their clients. But on the horizon, there is still much more opportunity to pursue. The recently adopted communication strategic plan does address the need for more multilingual communications, and that's something that will be explored and developed as that communication team works.
Thank you, Scott. Next goal. So this goal has a little asterisk by it because it is a new goal that was developed just last year, but already the county board has made great progress on this. So, and of course our elected officials as well. Educate residents on processes and how to become involved. So, our county treasurer took this initiative to heart, and she has made multiple videos explaining how tax bills work, explaining the e-check process to save residents money as they pay their property tax bills. Our assessments official, Alejandro Benitez, delivered 2 different presentations on how the assessment process works. You can see both of these presentations, by the way, online. These are taken from our YouTube channel, which also was developed to further educate our residents. And you can also see different initiatives through the Mental Health Board Sales Tax Referendum Frequently Asked Question page. So again, there have been different initiatives that have come through, inspired by the county board and our elected officials, to be able to educate our residents and get them more involved with the community. We also have a Did You Know campaign that we launched over the summer, and that appeared on our social media channels and newsletters, educating the public on different aspects of the county government that they may or may not know about. So again, lots of success on this particular goal, but there's more to come in the future. Scott?
Thank you. And if you know of have ideas that we should be educating your residents about, if you are hearing of things that your constituents want to learn more about, please let us know, because there's so much more opportunity. When we're inside it, we don't really see what it may be confusing or what could be further explained. So we'll look for your help and your guidance on what we should be communicating out. At the Administrative Services Committee meeting this week, Alex Benitez was before that committee and stated that one of his goals, if he is appointed as your chief county assessor, would be to further educate residents on the assessment process. We know that that was confusing and that was pretty nebulous prior to the recent videos. I think that Alex and the assessments did a great job in further explaining that, but there's still a lot more work that can be done. So we appreciate his effort and desire to want to get into the education, deeper into the education. This is exciting, and you'll hear more about this. You may have heard a little bit about it already. HR has been doing a lot of work, and you're going to hear some of the programs that they've developed throughout this presentation, because quite frankly, it's very exciting. One of those is they developed a curriculum for county employees to go to high schools and educate high schoolers about what the county does, with the ulterior motive of saying why it's great to work for the county. So their little recruitment retention. So that program is going to be rolled out here hopefully soon, and we look forward to getting a lot of enthusiasm and inspiring a lot of young minds. Hopefully they'll come work for the county.
Indeed. Next goal. Goal 9 is also new, and it's about exploring sustainable funding sources. The county board did elect to adopt a 3.3 cent per gallon increase to the motor fuel tax after the Transportation Committee and McHenry County Division of Transportation staff evaluated motor fuel tax options. The county board also empowered voters to make their decisions and to vote on whether or not to implement a mental health board sales tax instead of having mental health services funded by property tax. So again, both the county board and the public are exploring sustainable funding sources.
And so as this referendum goes forward, we're going to see, you gave the voters the option as to whether or not they want to fund the mental health services through a sales tax and provide property tax relief. So you put that question to the voters, and we're anxiously awaiting to see the outcome.
Goal 10, also new. So, improve resiliency to emergencies and disasters. This has been a very busy year for the EMA. So, after over a year of planning with various municipal partners, the Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan was adopted by 29 entities, including McHenry County. So, and this will help to insulate McHenry County residents from disasters that have been identified.
And it opens up areas of funding through federal grants, such as the BRIC source and from FEMA funding. So if they are members of this plan, they can then apply for funding for certain projects they have. A good example is the EMA and our Plan Development Department worked with the Hebron Drainage District on pursuing a BRIC grant, Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities. Because the Hebron Drainage District, and while the Hebron Township and the county are on this plan, Hebron Drainage District could be eligible for this funding. So hopefully they'll get over $200,000 to do necessary repairs. So we're waiting for that application to go through. EMA has been actively engaged with our municipal partners to develop a liaison program to basically help them with their planning, help them with developing their plans, and ensure that we would have efficient and immediate lines of communication in the event of a disaster. Collaborative and joint planning is essential to avoid and mitigate the cascading impacts of any disaster. So if we know what the municipalities are doing, they know what we're doing, we're collectively going to be better able to respond to any natural disaster. So we appreciate EMA's efforts to reach out to our municipal partners. We encourage our municipal partners to commit the time to work with this. Sometimes I'll tell you from a municipal standpoint, it seems to be in the background because if it's not happening, you're not worrying about it. But now I work for the county and I see the work the EMA does. I would encourage all our municipal partners to commit the time to it, focus in, because you don't want to think about it during that event. You want to think about it long ahead of time so you know what to do.
And again, it's not just municipal partners that the EMA has been working with. The EMA also coordinated a school safety summit, and the emergency management staff and county administration staff have been coordinating with municipalities to facilitate the safe and efficient transportation of asylum seekers to Chicago, as the chairman noted in his remarks.
And on the horizon, so EMA is going to be working directly with Mercy Health on a training exercise. They're going to be assisting the village of Huntley for a rather large-scale exercise in June, and they are developing a multi-jurisdictional cyber exercise in the fall. So we're really looking forward to that because that is one of the biggest threats and risks that we have, so.
All right, guys, hang in there. That was the longest strategic area, 10 goals. Now we're moving on to organizational advancement.
Organizational advancement reflects the actions and efforts to improve the organization and how it can efficiently and effectively carry out the business of the county, keeping in mind its mission of providing the highest quality services and your vision as innovative leaders in local government.
So, to kick off on some of the accomplishments this year, the county administrator continues to provide monthly updates to all staff. I'm sure you've all received them in your email boxes. And these should share important updates on human resources related matters, just regular updates on different accomplishments of the organization, et cetera. The Human Resources Department and County Administration also conducted 3 separate employee forums where the results of the annual employee survey were shared, and staff had an opportunity to deliver in-person feedback to the HR department and to county leadership. Also, another thing to keep in mind about communications is the communication strategic plan. I know, Alicia loves strategic planning, but this is a big deal.
We have enough strategic planning.
There's never enough strategic planning. But this is a big deal because we have various communications officers across the county, and it's important for us all to be operating together on a similar frequency so that we are achieving and amplifying our voices in regards to different communications initiatives that we have. So thank you all so much for approving this May, our communications strategic plan, and we look forward to implementing it over the next couple of years.
So we've identified a key to achieving this goal is to utilize multi-departmental committees to address topics that affect the organization and what we do. A good example of that is Alicia is heading a committee of, I think, 14 different departments to look into the application and implementation, or implications, let's say, of AI into the organization, into how we do what we do and how we can do it better. And in some cases, is that something we should be cautious about. So that is something that we are sharing our notes on how we do our jobs, our respective jobs for the county, and whether or not AI has a good place, and if so, what is that place? So that's a good example of just one committee moving forward, but we have many multi-departmental committees that are addressing the day-to-day challenges and issues and topics that face the county, so we can internally do our jobs better for you and for the residents.
Scott? Goal 2, the county website. This has been a big year for IT. I would like to thank our IT department for redesigning our website. It looks gorgeous. You can see the example right there. It's within the new MCH brand. It's much easier to find what the public is looking for. I'd also like to give IT a shout out for the new recording system that we have so that we can better transmit our committee meetings to the public so that the public can see our meetings from home and in a higher quality and higher resolution. So thank you again to IT for making it more transparent for the public.
You know, as we were developing this and we talked about IT's improvements to the AV system, especially in the conference rooms. I use the term, it's a dream, and we kind of talked about that. I was thinking back to, and some of you on the board remember how we used to do the broadcasting of meetings, and we'd put up the computer, and we called it scummy, and the video quality was horrible, and if you had to call in, it was a challenge. And I just think of how far we've come. I do want to echo Alicia's thanks to Greg Shane and his team for engineering that, for designing that, and putting that in place, because I think when you look at transparency to our constituents, and you just look at the quality of the history of your decisions, and you can hear the debate and the deliberations, we've come such a long way, but I think it is such a good thing for everybody, for all those concerned. So once again, thank you to them. Just because the website's been overhauled doesn't mean we're done. We are always looking to add pages that are going to better help tell the county's story. We mentioned earlier that, or was mentioned earlier, that the FAQ webpage for the referendum is up. Soon, I would say maybe by the end of this month, we're looking to launch our Green Initiatives webpage, which will showcase our various efforts for environmental sustainability, for our studies, for our initiatives, looking to reduce our carbon footprint, looking back over the past 15 years, because the county's been working on this for a long time, and then telling everybody what we're looking to do. So web pages are always being added. That's going to help tell the story and showcase the great work that we're doing.
Goal 3, develop and implement a countywide staffing plan to enhance recruitment and retention efforts for quality and skilled employees. So Valley High completed their recruitment and retention plan. It was recently approved by the county board, but there are other ways that the county has been working to enhance recruitment and retention efforts. The HR department has put together a career development program that just launched this January, and a mentorship program to help employees to grow within the organization. And, if their growth means transferring between departments, so be it. We got to keep the talent that we have engaged and working to its full potential within the organization. The county board has also instituted tiered grading systems for various departments, such as the division of, or select positions within departments such as the DOT, assessments, environmental health, and planning and development. And I believe we are looking at expanding that process if allowed by the county board.
I believe the treasurer was talking to HR about doing the same thing. The tiered grading system, let me back up. When we gave this presentation last year, that was just a concept that HR was developing, and we announced that it should be coming. Since then, you've implemented several tiered grading systems in various departments, as Alicia mentioned, and I will tell you that was probably one of the fundamentally best things you could have done to advance a strategic goal, because it gives our employees the ability to be in a job and know that once they achieve certain benchmarks, they can advance into that job without being stuck into a rigid class, and they couldn't advance until there was a vacancy above them if they wanted to go into from let's say a Tech 1 to a Tech 2. Now they have that opportunity. So it encourages the employees to better themselves to get to that next level. And I think that you should celebrate that work, because that is, like I said, it's paramount to achieving this goal. There is more to come, and we would recommend look for and support more opportunities within the organization to break down that rigidity, because that's what our employees are looking for. They're not looking to, they want to advance, and if they can't advance here, they're going to advance somewhere else. So give them the opportunity to advance here. Other things that are going to come before you in the next year, HR is underway with planning for the 2024 class and compensation study. We've done it a few years ago. That changed the grades, that changed the salaries to ensure that the county was competitive. But we know that the world has changed every year, and we need to keep looking at the salaries for the county pays to ensure that your positions are competitive and you're going to attract and retain the talent within the organization. And finally, I just want to note that, you may be reminded, the Department of Health had engaged a consultant to look at succession planning within their department. They have a pretty substantial department with a lot of responsibility in various areas, and this is going to help them identify leadership and identify pathways to that leadership, which will help improve or cultivate the talent within their organization and put them in a good position in the future as leaders phase out and new leadership comes in. So, all right. So
next key strategic area, environmental sustainability.
All right.
So goal 1 right here, enhance long-term sustainability for a strong agricultural industry within the county. So we were very pleased this year to have the Farm Bureau give us some tours of different farms in the area. We got to see the Von Bergen farm here and a dairy farm as well. And we got to understand the issues facing the farmers here in McHenry County. And when I say we, I can say we in this case. It wasn't just the county board, though. I'm glad that you guys were all there. It was staff too. It was department heads, and it was me. And it was really eye-opening to be able to understand where our food comes from here in McHenry County, and that it's really not an easy job at all.
I just want to say, what a fun, happy, sunshiny picture. Yeah, that was a wonderful day, so.
And again, we're always very happy to promote our agricultural community here in McHenry County. If you get our Thrive newsletter, which you all should, you'll see that we, along with our partners at Naturally McHenry County, are always promoting the different agritourism events that we have here in the county.
So on the horizon, how can you further advance this goal? Well, the opportunity is going to come before you with a 2050 comprehensive land use plan. That is your document that solidifies your views, your values, and your visions regarding this strategic goal regarding enhancing and maintaining long-term sustainability, agritourism. You're the policymakers. You put that value into this plan, and I think your RPC is, you should have heard and is where the strategic plan has been working towards that. But it comes to you. You're the goalie. You need to make sure that those values are reflected in your 2050 plan. So.
Thank you. All right, goal 2. So as Scott already alluded, we are going to be developing a green initiatives page. And one of the documents on that page is our carbon footprint report here that was put together by our facilities department. Again, we are going to be trying to be coordinating all these different initiatives that we have done across the county to make it so that the public understands how the county is working to be more environmentally friendly. Also, the Director of Procurement and Special Services is going to be giving you another presentation in this upcoming February to discuss next steps in regards to environmental issues.
And specifically with regards to our EV, and looking at the alignment of the rollout of, or I should say the transition of EVs into the county's fleet and alignment with the supporting charging infrastructure that's needed. Adam Latondra, our Director of Procurement and Special Services, and Tom Burrows, our Director of Facilities, have been on the front end of looking at the areas in which the county can reduce its carbon footprint, looking at different improvements they can make, looking at different efficiencies when they have a replacement of a chiller or a piece of equipment, and looking at what they can do to the campus, such as adding EV infrastructure to support these goals and initiatives. When they develop the capital plan, they have this in mind, and they are going to bring forward recommendations that would best fit the county, its needs, and to ensure that they're responsible, because sometimes it may be environmentally sustainable, but there may be considerable cost. So they're looking at everything, and when they develop a comprehensive plan, they develop it with this goal in mind.
All right, goal 3, identify strategic areas for electric charging stations throughout the county. So again, the focus so far on EVs has been more on where we can install them here in the county. And when I say in the county, I mean on the county campus. So again, you're going to be hearing a presentation more from our Director of Procurement and Special Services on that. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to our county coordinator, Shaylin Daigle, because she has coordinated with our municipalities to connect them to the R1 planning group that already has some opportunities and are looking for, grant applications to be able to implement EVs in various areas across the county. So well done, Shaylin.
I just want to point out, too, staff is working to obtain an energy efficiency and conservation block grant, which would hopefully bring about $270,000 to the county for carbon footprint reduction and energy efficiency programs. So we've been working with the agency that's administering that, and hopefully we'll get that going. Our pre-application was submitted. We're just working through now the administrative process. We don't know when that will come, but we're anxiously awaiting having that resource available to you so you can implement some of these programs.
All right, goal 4, another new goal, and it is on the reactivation of drainage districts for future areas of development. Okay, so this is a Herculean task right here. Our GIS department has stepped up to the plate, and they are beginning a mapping project regarding our drainage districts. Lots of information on that, but it's all in different places in the hands of various different individuals across the county. So we look forward to getting this information consolidated in one place where the public can find it. But again, this is a long-term project, and as I said, Herculean task.
I'd say on the horizon, we're not expecting this to be done this year. GIS is actively engaged in it, but they have to assemble documents from a variety of different sources. We have historic legacy documents that they're going to pull from the records. We have documents in planning and development. DOT has a plethora of documents. And then our drainage districts have a variety of different documents that date back over 100 years. And so it's stitching all these documents together to develop that map, the comprehensive resource of where our drainage districts, drainage tiles are, and that way that we'll have that clearer picture. So we appreciate Nicole Gattuso and her team's work on this, understanding that they were doing this in addition to everything else we asked them to do. So kudos to her and her team for keeping this going.
Goal 5, also a new item. Explore opportunities to exercise local control of solar and wind farms. So, as previously noted, Chair Althoff has been appointed to lead the ISACO Wind and Solar Facility Task Force. We look forward to the findings of that committee, and we also look forward to watching future legislation that is put forward in regards to solar and wind facilities. I'd also like to note that there is language in our 2024 proposed legislative program regarding wind and solar facilities. So as you consider the program for Tuesday night, keep that in mind.
And just yesterday, Representative Bunting filed House Bill 4422, which in essence looks to unwind many of those restrictions on the county zoning authority that were put in place January of last year. We'll see where that bill goes. We're certainly going to watch it like a hawk and report accordingly to Law, Government, and Liquor Committee. But if that bill goes forward, it may restore some of your zoning authority.
All right. Economic and workforce development. We all know what this is. All right. There we go. So, skipping straight to goal 2 here. Identify strategies to promote the county specifically to the younger demographic. So again, McHenry County has been working to engage our younger residents. As you can see, we have leadership of Greater McHenry County learning about what McHenry County does as a government body. We also have been stepping up our game in issuing proclamation recognizing the contributions of our young people to the county. So again, that's something to keep in mind, especially as we have another group of young people coming in this Tuesday night.
And on the horizon, as I mentioned, the HR's high school curriculum, looking to roll that out. That's going to touch many young minds, so we're excited about that.
All right. Skipping ahead. Goal 4. Develop and implement strategies to match workforce skills with employers. So, this fall, we had the pleasure of working with, and when I say we, I mean Chairman Bueller and Jim McConaughey of the Economic Development Corporation, had the pleasure of participating in a press conference with the Illinois, or IMEC, regarding manufacturers and how to raise awareness of clean, high-paying manufacturing jobs right here in McHenry County. They actually had a bus come through to really raise awareness and to take different community members to different sites and educate them on the resources that are available and the opportunities for manufacturing. So you can see all those people right there. And yes, the chairman did sign the bus.
And on the horizon, we want our Workforce Network partners to keep up their great work and keep up your support of what they do.
All right. So let's see if this one works. All right. Yeah. So that right there is the interchange of 23 and 90. It's been a big year for the development of 23 and 90 as the city of Marengo has officially become an active participant in the McHenry County, not the Harvard-Woodstock, the McHenry County Enterprise Zone. And we look forward to assisting with the development of utilities and further initiatives within that area.
So this is going to be the economic engine for the county in the future. And we are working with the city of Marengo in any way that we can to ensure that they can get this area developed. They are underway with the infrastructure to get water and sewer to the property, which is critical. We have reached out to whomever we could, including legislators, to let them know we got to get the utilities, such as gas and electricity, to that property as quickly as possible, or at least the plans designed. So we want to continue those efforts, continue to press the importance of having this ready to roll, so when a company comes in and they want a site, this land is available to develop and to become part of the county's economy. So whatever we can do to assist the city of Marengo, we stand at the ready, and we look forward to hopefully a lot of interest on this property in the year to come.
Goal 6, understand the workforce housing needs and availability in McHenry County. Earlier this year, Chairman Bueller commissioned the Workforce Housing Task Force.
Workforce Housing Work Group.
Work group, my bad.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. But it has been meeting regularly every month since its kickoff in May, and we look forward to having a report being issued on its findings coming up in April, right, Scott?
Hopefully April, May, thereabouts. But there's a lot of work, and the Workforce Work Group heard from lots of subject matter experts, and it was just a fire hose of information. And when you understand the complexity of this issue and the nuance within it, it was eye-opening. So we look forward to that report being presented to the county board in, we'll say later this spring.
All right. Health and social services. This is a new key strategic area, and I couldn't really find a place to recognize the National Quality Award that Valley High received, so it's right here on this slide right here, so well done, Valley High. Very proud of you guys. So, goal 1. There we go. Institute a memory care unit at Valley High. Well, congratulations, McHenry County. Ground has been broken.
Walls are up. If you haven't seen it, they're rolling on the construction. Valley High administration now is working on the staffing plan and the programming. So when this unit comes online in late fall, they'll be ready to roll with staff and programming to get people in as quickly as possible. So very exciting.
All right. Goal 2, develop and implement a public health strategic plan. Well, that was implemented. The McHenry County Department of Health now has an organizational strategic plan for 2023 to 2026, and it has been approved. All right, let's keep on moving here. So, quality infrastructure. Now, guys, stay with me. This is the last key area, okay? All right. So, goal 1, as promised, Midwest Interstate Trail. So one of the county's key area, or one of the county's goals, is to evaluate the county's infrastructure system and identify strategies to routinely maintain road and bridges, and work with the state of Illinois to widen Route 47 and 31 and develop complete streets throughout the whole county. So how does the Midwest Interstate Trail fall into this category? Well, it's because of the complete streets portions. The Midwest Interstate Trail proposes to connect McHenry County, or trails within McHenry County, to trails within Kenosha County. Mm-hmm. That is a group partnership across state lines. And again, it's making it so that we have additional ways for our traveling public to move about in McHenry County. Also, this year has been the year of Randall Road. So the Randall Road expansion project has been achieving great success. We received $3 million from the state of Illinois to work on this project. Also, there have been intergovernmental agreements entered into between the county and the state of Illinois that the county board passed to make it so that this project could move forward. And the McHenry County Division of Transportation has agreements put together with the city of Crystal Lake to organize how the build is to work and how maintenance of these shared use paths and sidewalks will be maintained going forward. Also before you at Tuesday night's meeting is an agreement with Lake in the Hills for the portion of the project that exists there. So again, more to come on Randall Road.
All right. And our final, you want to switch over? The final goal that we want to talk about is the broadband infrastructure. I know this has been weighing heavily on county's mind and a lot of your constituents' minds for quite some time, especially those in the western part of the county that really have substandard, if any, broadband service. So not much has happened. We've been waiting on the wording of the Connect 3, or the Connect Illinois Phase 3 funding, and it was delayed. But we just received word that the final funding determination has been made and forwarded to the governor. We don't know what that says. We have 2 projects in with our private partners to install this broadband. We are anxiously awaiting word on that funding. So hopefully we hear something soon, and when we do, hopefully it's exciting and good news.
Thank you very much for your time today. Do you have any questions for us?
All right. All right. We appreciate all your efforts with the strategic plan. This is your strategic plan, and we look forward to another great year of accomplishing these goals, your goals, and you know, in 2025, we'll have to make a
Yeah,
decision.
we got one question for you.
I'm sorry, yeah, I buzzed in a little late. And it's not so much a question as the Harvard Woodstock Enterprise Zone. It sort of sounded like when you said that about the interchange, that Marengo was the McHenry County Enterprise Zone, not the Harvard Woodstock Enterprise Zone. And just to clarify for some of the other members that aren't familiar with the Enterprise Zone, it was the Harvard Woodstock Enterprise Zone. Marengo has now joined, and it's been renamed the McHenry County Enterprise Zone. So it's all three of the cities are involved in it. So just for clarification, thanks.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions? We could spend all day talking about your strategic plan, so our time is your time. Okay.
Seeing
All
none,
right.
thank you, Scott and Alicia. Moving on to new business, do any members have items they'd like to remove or from next Tuesday's agenda they'd like to remove for discussion? Mr. Scala?
16, B as in boy, 2, 5.
Ms. Von Bergen?
16B26.
Mr. Kearns?
16B43.
Okay, seeing no others, Mr. Scala, 16B25.
So this is a resolution regarding the county clerk leasing a building here in Woodstock. So yesterday at our finance committee meeting, we had a very good discussion about this item. I would encourage board members to go back and listen to the finance meeting discussion for further details. I pulled this because same as yesterday, I have an issue, not in principle with what is trying to be accomplished, because I fully support having a space where the county clerk can hold elections and store all of the equipment and necessary paperwork associated with the elections, and remove it from this building, which kind of gets taken over during election season. So I fully support that concept. I just have an issue with the space being utilized or proposed to be utilized in this resolution. The two main areas that I have problems with is the space that's being requested is retail space, and for a 10-year lease, the proposal is $3.3 million for the full 10 years. And that's making some assumptions on the CAM. This is a triple net lease. As I'm sure most of you are aware, you know, CAM is flexible based on what expenses are associated with the upkeep of the space. I asked the question yesterday and was told that we utilize 25% of that total strip mall, I guess is the best way to put it. So 25% of any additional expenses outside of normal maintenance and, you know, upkeep of that would be ours in addition to the 3.3 million. And then the second part of it is the financing of this lease. Again, in the resolution, it is proposed to use fund reserves for the entire 10 years of this lease. And the board has made multiple comments about not using fund reserves to pay for reoccurring expenses. And this is only a lease, so it's not necessarily reoccurring for the life of the project, but 10 years is a really long time to be using fund reserves to pay for this. I had requested yesterday
about why we feel like we need to stay in a retail space versus a commercial/industrial space. I understand the reasoning behind wanting to stay here in Woodstock due to the location of the county clerk's office and ease of transportation to and from. So I fully support staying here in Woodstock. But there are many spaces, commercial industrial space that is available here in Woodstock that would be, I feel, at a cheaper expense. And I went a little bit further and even expressed a concern about leasing it versus simply outright purchasing. My concern is, we're spending at least $3.3 million at the end of 10 years. We have nothing to show for it. It's simply money spent for a space. We're gonna pay money to alter the space to make it usable for the county clerk, which is viable and necessary. But again, we have nothing to show for it at the end. And I personally would rather utilize $3.3 million in purchasing a space, doing a build out, and then having an asset. I don't see the need going away in 10 years. I think we all agreed yesterday that we don't know what elections will look like in 10 years and what potentially the county clerk at that time will need. But space is something that even if in 10 years we determined we didn't need the space, we have an asset that we could at least at that point sell. I don't see the need for storage going away. We've talked numerous times over the years as a board about storage space needs. So even a space that's bigger than I think it was 16,500 square feet that this space is, even if it was a space that was 25,000 square feet, I think could easily be utilized with our space storage needs. And perhaps we could get out of some of our other leases that we utilize for storage of stuff. PPE, we just did a lease for PPE. So, I mean, to me, it's more of a long-term look than simply a short-term fix for what is really a problem here. So those are my comments. I can't support the resolution as written. Again, fully support the concept and the idea of what's trying to be accomplished. Just, I have issues with what is currently before us.
Ms. Meshes?
Thanks. So I am on Finance Committee, as many of you probably already know. And I did support it yesterday in committee, but with a lot of hesitation. And the more I thought about it, the more I have to agree with Chairman Scala of the Finance Committee. I do think that leasing is lost money, especially when we're committed to being in the county. It's not that we're gonna move out of the county and need a different building. I think that having that building, purchasing within the county is better than all these leases. I am concerned about how much money we're spending in leasing. I don't know if we've ever looked as a board at that amount. I don't think that we seem to have a problem selling buildings when we don't want it. We sold the building on the corner of Algonquin and Randall, I felt like pretty quickly. And so I would like to look at options of buildings that we could buy. And in general, as I said in the previous, I'd like to see more options in committee and not just this is the option and either we support the plan, which I agree that we do need a building, we need to do something different for what we've been doing for elections. It feels like a yes/no vote to fixing the election problem. I'd rather have options in committee and then present those options so that we have more information. So I will also be a no on Tuesday.
Dr. Sager?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. With all due respect to my esteemed colleagues on the Finance Committee and certainly Chairman Scala, it does need to be stated that this was discussed at quite some length at our Finance Committee meeting, and the vote was 5-1 in favor of moving this forward. And certainly, my colleagues make a lot of learned positions that are well considered, but I do think that we have to focus on three primary points. I think one is the point that access on a state highway in the city of Woodstock for a facility of this type is going to be important for people who are going to be utilizing the facility to come and to vote or to observe the election process and the voting count. And so I think visibility and ease of access, ease of parking is incredibly important. And the staff has done a great job of identifying a very appropriate location in that regard. From the city of Woodstock's perspective, you know, this isn't going to be the most easily swallowed because it is taking a look at a retail space and then turning that into a non-taxable area or a non-sales tax generating function. But at the same time, I think the location is a good one, and that meets the needs of our residents. The second thing I would say is the fact that there is a question about building a new facility, but let's not forget the fact that we are looking at a pretty big election that is going to have a large amount of participation coming up in this fall. And so I think there is a timely situation here that we need to recognize and be prepared for, if you will. And I think that this facility will help us to do that in a timely fashion. The other thing I would say about that is the fact that the committee certainly has the opportunity and the right to look at all kinds of different options and be presented with all kinds of different options. But I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for our professional staff. Frankly, in my opinion, that's what we hire professional staff for. They are the ones that evaluate the needs, the demands. Our countywide elected clerk has determined that this is a facility which is going to, as they have said, check all of the boxes. And I don't know that we as a county board and as elected members should necessarily begin to question or to insist that we have all those details to review once again. They have presented us with, I believe, a most appropriate proposal. Can we consider it an outlay for 10 years that is sizable in financial demand? Absolutely, it is. There's no question about that. When you are into a rental market, you're going to be faced with those types of things. But compared to building our own new building for this, it's not going to be anywhere close to the costs associated with building a new building, which we then will have to care for and maintain. So I'm very supportive of this. I think this is the right way for us to go at this time. Things are going to change as we look to elections 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the road. It's going to change. But right now, this meets the needs. So I very much support this effort. Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Thank you. So I am also on the Finance Committee, and I was one of the yes votes for moving this forward. I do think this is a very complicated issue because we do understand very much the need that we are facing. The fact that the election takes over this building for as many months as it does, I'm just in awe that staff is as agreeable about it as they are, because it's a big disruption in this building. So I understand, and knowing that we're coming up on a very big election, I understand the importance of getting this out of here anyway, either way. You know, this was a tough week to stay on top of all the information. I think we had a good discussion yesterday. You know, it's, for me, all four of my meetings were here on top of a couple of others. So I think one of the things that would help in my decision on this, because I do feel like it would be interesting to explore a purchasing option. And I don't know that we would have time for that and still meet the deadline of getting this out of here for the fall election. And I do have a great deal of respect for staff. I think that that's what you're there for. You're professional and you do a great job. And certainly we can't begin to take on the investigative work that you do on every single issue. That's why we rely so heavily on you. I think that for me, I don't know the extent to which a purchase option was explored, since that we do tend to rent, and And maybe that was the option that was explored, and I don't know that I asked that yesterday, so that's on me. And maybe you could answer that.
No, we did not pursue a purchase option, it was strictly lease.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I think that I'm uncomfortable, the fact that I understand that this is it could be temporary, we could be looking at a different option later, but what I am understanding is that we would be locked in at least for 7 years. So that makes me a little uncomfortable that we're locked in that long. I do appreciate the location. I don't know that it has to be on 47. A lot of our voting centers and other public buildings are not necessarily on a main road. They're kind of off of a intersecting road. So I think it would be easy enough to find if there was something maybe off of 47. But again, I don't know what that looks like. So I was a yes yesterday. I'm on the fence right now is all I can say at this time, and just trying to get the information to make an appropriate decision. Thank you.
Ms. Wagner?
Thank you. So there is no doubt that we need a new facility and an expanded space to not only vote, but to store and process the election. And most of our conversation yesterday, which was quite lengthy, talked about the place and the requirements that we need. But like some of my other colleagues have said, I am worried about the long-term lease and the expense it's going to have when at the end of 7 or 10 years, we will have no equity and no capital. So one of my main concerns, if you look at the resolution, is it says the money's going to be taken out of reserve. My question is that the plan for the future years for this lease, is that it will be taken from the reserve every year, or will it be built into the budget?
I mean, ultimately, it would be built in the budget, but the thought process here is, initially, we could do a PO for 5 years and tie up $2 million the moment you pass this, and we've paid for this for the next 5 years, and we don't need to worry. We do have excess, and we can, simply put a box around $2 million, and we've resolved the question for the next 5 years. Where are we going to be in 2029, 2030? I don't know. We approach each year as a new challenge, but I know that this question would be solved, for 5 years. We have a problem today. We have elections equipment behind us today. We're scrambling meetings around today, this afternoon, and I know that there's a desire to look more for something to buy. How long is that going to take? And how much are we going to spend remodeling a building that we buy? It will not be addressed before the November election if we do something different. And that's okay. This is a problem now. This is a solution now. The status quo is workable, and we can continue this with the status quo.
Has there been any look to maybe finding a temporary place for 1 year?
No.
Actually, I had looked back in 2020 when we had the COVID, and I couldn't find a realtor or a landlord who was interested in entertaining such a short-term arrangement.
Okay, it might be something just to look at. Like I said, at the end of the term, we won't have any equity or capital, and if we are looking at responsible use of our dollars, I think that's something we need to think about. And if we buy a building, we can always issue bonds, and so that way that expense is not taken out of taxpayer money and directly. So we're not going to have to, I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
We don't need to, right now, we don't need to incur interest on a bond. We have dollars.
That's right.
Yeah.
We do have dollars. My point is, I'm concerned about raising our expenses, so when we come to next year, when we're passing a budget, that we would have to increase taxes to cover a budget. So I just want to make sure that we're using the tax dollars safely, and that we're getting what we need out of what we rent or purchase. That's it. So I'm on the fence. I did vote yes yesterday, but I am on the fence just because there are a lot of questions.
Mr. Kearns.
You know, a lot of good comments, and I appreciate Mr. Sager's comments a lot, because originally when I heard the comment about purchasing, I would always be in favor of purchasing a property. However, when you analyze this a little bit further, as you listen to everyone, you sit there and say, it's an immediate need that we won't be able to overcome before the 24 election. The other thing that I would say is that by purchasing a building, we take it off the tax rolls. This property will be on the tax rolls for the next 10 years still and create income for the municipalities and the government bodies, where if we own that property, we take it off the tax roll. So I guess I've changed my mind. I would be in favor of this.
Chairman?
Lou, go ahead.
Thank you. So this will be the second time that Member Kearns and I agree with each other in 1 week. Oh my gosh. Times they are changing. I heard our clerk say that he began looking in 2020. We're now in 2024. We can continue to kick this down the road until we find the perfect situation. It sounds like we're in a situation that, and while I think the idea of looking more is important, voting is the primary function of government, and our job is to make it work for the clerk and the voter. And it appears to me that this location in Woodstock does both those things. It makes it accessible for the voter. It gives Woodstock and the county some revenue. It gives the clerk a significant amount of space in which to set up our whole election center. And it solves some very immediate situations for us. And I would be in support of this resolution.
If I might add too, and without the benefit of some realty listing database for those who know the area, consider finding a location that isn't retail that has upwards of 50 parking spots available to it. Really, when I consider what I would like to put there in terms of a voting center, closer to 100 would really make sense. And when you're thinking of a situation that size, the only thing I was able to find, and my chief deputy and I used Google Maps and drove around and tried to find, the only places we were really finding were either major industrial or retail space. And so that's part of the reason we got to where we are today.
Mr. Gottemoller.
Yes, this seems to have, and I did not listen to Finance Committee other than what Mr. Scala said today. There's a difference of opinion as to whether or not you have anything left after a lease. We have oftentimes torn down buildings. We have oftentimes, decided to sell buildings at a loss because we got stuck with a building 10 years later that we didn't want or need. I'm perfectly happy with leasing that and letting that decision as to what that building's going to be like 10 years from now be on the owner of that building. Let them pay taxes on it and we've gotten the use of that building for the time that we need it. And when that use is either passed or we find a better way to solve that problem, we can go use it. That's what leases are for. I don't want to run out and buy a building and design and try between now and any hurry up pace to design a new election center. Let's use this building during those 5 years or 10 years or 7 years or whatever we ends up being to design that election center so that then we can plan it down the road and not do it in a hurry, in a hurried way and make a mistake that we can't recover from or that we now own that retail space. If we want to design a building, we got 40 acres north of this building that we could probably put something on. But we don't have to do that today, and we don't have to do it by November. We have the ability to rent this. We don't have to float bonds. We don't have to do anything else other than get it set up for what we want to do, and we'll have a chance for 5 years to figure out if it works and what we should design our own building to be in the future. This makes the most sense to me, and I would go forward with it as it is.
Ms. Van Hoff?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have a couple of concerns that were voiced earlier. One is the long-term lease, and I would like to ask, I've heard 10 years and I've heard 7 years, so I would need some clarification on which is it? Is it 7 or 10?
It'll be a 10-year lease with a early termination option after 7 years. There will, with that, that's why you're hearing the two different figures. But the base will be 10 years, early termination at a cost for after 7.
So if we decide we want a divorce after 7 years, we can do that?
That's correct.
Without any penalty?
No, you'd be paying additional. You'd be paying a certain percentage of what would be, they would be owed for that 10 years. So,
okay, so basically we're locked into a 10-year agreement. Whether we exit early or not, we still would have to pay the least amount for terminating that.
Not the entire amount after that 7 years, but you will be paying a portion of that.
Okay, so we're, with this particular building, because I do agree that it is sited well, it's near a major highway, did we explore any shorter lease options?
We did, and in fact, we wanted to do a 5-year and a 5-year, but with the property owner, based on the investment that the property owner would make to reconfigure it from a grocery store as it's configured now into this space, the owner would be contributing $165,000 into costs for that reconfiguration and making that investment. In order for that investment to make sense for the owner, they needed that 10 years.
Okay, and then the only other question I had, what kind of investment does the county have to make to get that building up to par for our use?
And that's a great question. The improvements are estimated to be about maybe up around $220,000 just on estimates. The owner will kick in $165,000 of the improvements. Anything thereafter would be the county's responsibility. So we're estimating it could be between $85,000 to actually $120,000 in the high end. That's in that resolution, and the emergency appropriation provides for that out of capital funding. When the design goes in, our staff will be engaged and actively involved in the design, and we're going to intend to put in some value engineering. In some cases, the flooring could be carpeting as opposed to epoxy finish, so there may be ways that we'll look for ways to keep those costs down. But up to the resolution says $120,000 on the high end is what we'd anticipate, but we believe it can come in lower.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kaminsky?
2 quick things. Joe, when talking of the surrounding area that we need to have it located, one of the major requirements that you had is it had to have a loading dock to support your equipment. So if that's one of the requirements that we need a loading dock, that really limits, buying or renting if we want to keep it within the general, that kind of the gist of it?
A loading dock is definitely a huge benefit as opposed to trying to load it through, human style doors. So this particular structure does have a loading dock, and so that's absolute benefit for it.
And with real estate and buildings around the area we need, your pickings are pretty
There
slim
just isn't
then,
much,
with the parking that you need.
Right.
And then the other, Mr. Kearns brought it up, and I'm a little fuzzy, but Mr. Oster and Mr. Hartman can answer. When government has property, rents property, there's where we don't pay taxes to where government does have to pay the property tax. So it really doesn't come off the roll. It's how the use is, if I understand it.
Yeah, that's correct. If the county owns a property and is using that property for county business, it's tax exempt. If we lease space and it's under private ownership, that does have the tax liability. So the owner will still pay property tax, whether we're here or if the former Aldi tenant was there, they're still paying property taxes to all the entities, school district, municipality, county, so on.
Okay, so it's a no loss.
Mr. Reiner?
Yeah, just one question. Pete, you said earlier in the presentation that although it's inconvenient, if we decided not to do this, we could still handle the election count here if we had to and defer this to the next time. Was that true, or did I misunderstand what you said?
I said you have an opportunity to change the status quo with this vote. If we stick with the status quo, we're going to stick with the terribly inefficient and imposition that we have right now. We have a break room downstairs that's open 8 of 12 months to employees because it's got elections equipment locked up in it, and we have this constant moving stuff around. We can continue to do that, and Joe and his staff will.
I would argue respectfully that that's not the case. If we have another pandemic or another issue like that, I don't know. I've got 9 pallets of ballots coming, and depending on when they come, I don't know what we'll end up doing with them in the short term as we have to reconfigure. If you remember those toys you had as a kid with the 16 little tiles and you had to move things around, well, if life deals you an extra 2 or 3 tiles at some point, you don't have a place to put them. And so we are constantly shuffling between we use McHenry County College for some of what we do, and given particular circumstances, sometimes that'll offload the demand for space here. In some cases, it doesn't. So
renting storage crates now?
I'm renting storage crates out back, 2,000 cubic feet of space there. So if we have another, and not to say that this coming election would have any sort of aberration to it off the norm, because I'm sure it'll just be like every other election. But if we have any aberration, I just don't know where we're going to put what that might be. So I disagree that we're in a good position for status quo.
So, and then the one other thing is, you said there was 16,500 square feet of space. Is this because this is all that's available, or is this what you need? That's a third of an acre.
It's a
Or
little
no,
bit of
no,
both.
I'm sorry, it's not a third of an acre. That's a misconception. But it is 16,000?
Yeah.
That's about a third of an acre. That's a big space. Is it because that's all that's available?
It's parts of each. So it has the aspects that we need in terms of attributes in a building, and then we do need a significant amount of space.
Yeah, and it's an available space, and what this affords is the clerk the ability to expand based on election needs. One of the things that is incorporated into the design is a mail sorting room. And if you go downstairs in the old conference room 104, there's a big machine which affectionately we call Big Al. So Big Al is used to handle all the mail ballots. If there's a need for another Big Al, we don't know where we could put that in this building. This space is actually geared up for another Big L. So, and that's an important consideration because with mail-in ballots becoming so prolific, we may have to have additional handling capabilities. So that additional space could be used up very quickly. It's not an overstretch of what we need by any means. I think it can be very helpful to have it available because it may be needed in the near term.
So this 16,500 square feet would avail us some availability of extra square feet because you're not going to use it all, and the next time we need PPE storage or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we store a significant amount of PPE as well because we still, our judges and the voting public still sort of expect that we'll have hand sanitizer and so on and so forth. But to give you some idea too, Big Al does the work of between 40 and 80 people. So the alternative to no Big Al is finding space for 40 to 80 people and the facilities and whatnot to do that work.
Thank you, Big Al.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Ms. Campbell?
Thank you for the second chance. Okay, and I appreciate everybody's time. This has been a good discussion. This is decision-making process in real time. It was the idea of maybe looking for something to purchase was a very compelling argument, but I had forgotten, Peter, so thank you for the reminder that this is gonna, the 2 million out of reserves will cover us for 5 years. It gives us time to solve the problem currently and figure out what we do next as we have a better idea of what voting will look like going into the future. And so I am comfortable with supporting this on Tuesday. Thank you for the time.
Seeing no further comment, we'll move on to the next item. Ms. Von Bergen, 16B26.
Bob and Alex, I apologize for making you stay here a little bit longer, but I think, right, right. But I think it's important to acknowledge our staff and appointed officials. As an assessor, I had the privilege of working with Alex since he started in the assessments office in 2010. As much as we will all miss Bob, I'm glad to see the resolution that's being put forth appointing Alex to the SA position once Bob retires. I think it's great to see that we have such a talented candidate in-house, and I know he will do a great job. And congratulations, Bob, on your soon-to-be retirement. Thank you.
Mr. Kearns?
I also would like to congratulate Alex, but more so, I would like to thank Bob Ross. And if some of you haven't ever spoken with Bob on any issues, we're losing a wealth of knowledge with Bob and easy to work with. My history with Bob dates back prior to being on the county board, and I found Bob really working to help alleviate a rogue assessor in their county. He helped divert a disaster that was headed toward this county and the township that was happening in. And I cannot speak my fondness of Bob as the appointed assessor for this county. Thank you. Enjoy your retirement. I will miss you. Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes, I'd like to just say, I have not had a chance to work with Bob directly, but I will say that when I was appointed back in '22, that was the best presentation on assessments I've ever, the first time I've actually even remotely understood the process, so that you brought forward, both of you, and so I wanted to thank you because I know you were a part of it. And then, so thank you and good luck in your retirement. And Alejandro, welcome, and I'm not welcome, but you've been here obviously, but congratulations, so thank you.
Okay, seeing no further comment, Mr. Kearns, 16B43.
I pulled this, you all know my opinions on the solar farms. But Scott, you brought up, and I would defer possibly to Ms. Altoff, about the ongoing legislation, the new legislation coming forward. So part of my questions is all of these solar farms that we're attempting to amend here, are these prior to the state law taking effect or after the state law taking effect, the applications, and how does it relate to this new?
I don't know why your light's not coming on, Scott. You want to use Pete's?
You got it, Renee?
Yeah. Oh, Renee, where are you at?
There we go. The 12 that are listed in this resolution were all applied for after the law went into effect. So they are all within the privilege of the law.
Okay. That is my main question.
And just to remind everybody, it was House Bill 4422 that was just filed yesterday. That has to work its way, obviously, through the process. We're not sure how quickly that will go or how successfully that would go. So you need to be mindful of applications that are submitted now. You have to review under the current statutes. But we're going to watch it intently.
Ms. Von Bergen?
I just had a question on whether or not I guess these as well as any of the other solar fields that we had passed will need to comply with the trailer bill that was signed last month, I believe, by the governor, which basically, I believe, requires them to work with drainage for farmland.
It is our opinion in the Planning and Development Department, and after discussion with the state's attorney, that yes, they will have to comply.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no further comment. Pete, you got a report for us today?
Not much. Scott and Alicia took all my thunder today, but I do want to extend my appreciation to them for their report. Kept it to 20 minutes.
Give or take.
Give or take. I did want to note, when we repost the agenda tomorrow, we're going to have a kind of a cleanup resolution on there, just administrative, but we're going to change Alicia's title from projects and communication and project manager to simply director of public affairs. I think it's more reflective of the work that she's doing for us now. It's not involving any classification or range changes, but just a title change. But want to clean it up administratively. I know you guys are excited to have Alex assume the role of Chief County Assessor. We do have a couple more months, so we'll love Bob a little bit more. In March, we'll do a proclamation for Bob. But I too share your excitement. I feel real fortunate that we have such a potentially difficult department like Chief County Assessor that's really running pretty smooth. And Alex has been there almost as long as Bob. Alex was Bob's first hire, so it's natural to kind of keep that energy going, and I think it shows a good statement to our staff that we're hiring from within. So thanks for your support on that. This last thing I want to note is this afternoon, we're all worried about the weather, and this afternoon at 3, we're going to have kind of an internal meeting about how we're going to be responding to weather. I'm not anticipating a shutdown tomorrow. We may be having a few more people working from home tomorrow. We'll have to see, or maybe a kind of a soft closure if it gets rough in the afternoon. But we'll be monitoring things starting this afternoon, taking a look at stuff. And Dave is calling us all together. So thanks. That's all I have.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Scala makes the motion. Mr. Kaminsky seconds. All in favor say aye.